皆さんフリーランスれても一緒にお仕事されるじゃないですか、さんと。
うん。
それなんでなんですか？
まあ、なんでかな。なんでかって改めて言われると確かになんでだろうって今思っちゃったじゃないですか。
Hideaki Anno of Neon Genesis Evangelion fame is commonly touted as a genius of his craft. The subject of many a video essay, he is by and large one of the most notable creators in recent memory. In particular, he is a name that many, now including me, refer to when thinking about the soul of an artist. The production of a craft, the building of a story, is an inherently personal process, and as such, it is almost impossible to stop your underlying emotions from leaking through the seams, instilling your work with any number of overtones and undertones. Anno is the most popular example of this, because it is this exact phenomena that allowed Neon Genesis to go from the typical monster of the week mecha anime to a psychological masterclass, delving into concepts of identity, acceptance of the self, and most importantly, how the mentality of the creator can seep into the stories they tell. There's something special about Evangelion, something that many other people have described much better than I could ever hope to. This video is not about Hideaki Anno or even Eva as a whole, but instead, it's a video about something deeper. The mentalities and beliefs that lead to a story like Evangelion being created in the first place. Where does it all come from? What makes these artists, writers, and filmmakers put so much of themselves into their work? And why does it seem that these more personal narratives, laden with the imperfections of the human mind, work so well? What is the soul of the artist, and why does it seem to hold so much power? The concept of melodrama is nothing new to fiction, of course. As far back as the Victorian period, artists and writers have instilled their work with something of a flair, lending itself greatly to the stage. Performing in front of a live audience brings the most out of people, and nobody knew this better than old man Shakespeare himself. Famous for his over-the-top narratives laden with melodrama, passionate characters, and tragedy, it's been widely assumed that all of this comes as a result of Shakespeare's own personal life, his experiences with love, grief, and deception, which are all themes that he displays in his work. The tragic nature of the stories of Shakespeare give them the qualities of a case study more than a story with heroes and villains, which is a quality almost unique to his work, making it feel more impactful, more human, simply due to the fact that it's his mentality and beliefs being uniquely expressed in a way only he can do it. This brings me to my first point. Finding your voice. The key to being able to express yourself as a writer is finding your unique voice. What qualities does your writing have that make it easy to identify at a glance? What is your word choice? The tone of your narrator or protagonist? What are your tendencies, and how does your audience know you're the one writing? When establishing a voice, it makes sense to take the route that leads to the most natural writing possible. Of course, this means that your personal views and even some of your mannerisms will be portrayed in your work. When aiming to find your voice, you have to ground yourself and look at your writing objectively. What factors would you like to emphasize? What kinds of scenes do you avoid writing, and what kind of writing are you most privy to? When I started to take writing seriously at the age of 15, I didn't know any of this. I believed that writing was objective, and my mentality wasn't that of aiming to share my own artistic vision, before it was one of making something marketable and easy to replicate. As I got deeper and deeper into writing as a profession, however, I began to ask myself the aforementioned questions, and my voice was finally established. Your voice contributes to the soul of your work by acting as a baseline for what your audience can expect from you. Interesting concepts and worlds are obviously important, but when aiming to make a living writing, it would benefit you to ensure your audience is reading, not just to see your ideas, but also to hear your unique interpretation of those ideas. Originality can only extend as far as you're willing to take it. Sci-fi is by no means an original genre, but the people who write sci-fi make it original through their transformation of the tropes and their inherent creativity. When you're writing, you should test your limits. Writing is an art, and with any art comes experimentation. Now that you've found your voice, you need to find a song to sing. Assumedly, you've already found a genre that connects with you and the ideas you're aiming to convey, and as such, it's time for you to put your skills to the test. Depending on your aim with your writing, this can manifest in any variety of ways. You can try to make a subversive narrative, taking all of the tropes of your preferred genre and twisting them on their head into something original and refreshing. The main character doesn't get the girl, but instead learns to love himself. The villain is defeated only for the hero to end up being the villain all along. These are examples of common subversions of tropes, and while one may argue that these are tropes in and of themselves, the difference is that these subversions are naturally harder to pull off while maintaining the quality of your work. Most writers with a vision that extends beyond basic genre writing find that subversion comes natural to them, serving as an almost impossible to avoid natural conclusion to a work with a large variety of twists and turns. Returning to Neon Genesis Evangelion for a second, the subversion in the third act of the series is exactly what I'm talking about. Eva doesn't end with a large robotic 1v1 with God, but instead a conversation with the self, the confronting of various self-doubts and personal traumas. Shinji doesn't become Daigura in Evangelion, but instead the way he beats the angels and saves the world is by learning to love and accept himself for the deeply flawed person he is. When crafting narratives like Evangelion, it is easy to fall down the hole of gimmick writing. Depression for the sake of depression, angst all for the sole purpose of being angsty, because you believe it makes your story worth talking about, when that's not the important part in the slightest. The real important part is getting it. Operating with a lack of understanding of your work robs it of any soul you might have tried to put into it. Describing experiences you're not genuinely educated on, and including sensitive topics for the shock value without truly understanding the struggles associated with those issues. Writing is a lot of work, and many people don't have the passion for it. Some people write because it is comparably easier than doing something like drawing or producing. If you're one of these people, then that's perfectly fine, because that's how I used to be. All I can ask of you is that you take the time to learn the craft, regardless of its simplicity, because otherwise your work will be low quality and uninspired. Writing is a mix of education and creativity, the knowledge of tropes and the ability to use them correctly. But writing is also more than that. It's an instrument played with words, an adventure, a journey. When you write, it's an undertaking, something that you should embrace, because otherwise, your writing will feel lifeless. It's not enough just to write. If you ever want people to truly care about your work, and you don't want to write smut or something, then you have to care about what you're writing, no matter how much or how little you write. Every second you spend writing is a further commitment to your craft. You should always be looking to improve and ensuring that you even understand what you're writing about in the first place. You have to care because it's impossible for your audience to care for you. Your work is your work. You're spending time on it, sitting at your computer, getting into your own head, trying to dig out a story through all of the clutter and annoyance that comes with the early parts of the writing process. You owe it to yourself to bring life to your work, because otherwise you're doing yourself a disservice and depriving your art, your writing, of its value. Your writing is lifeless, but it doesn't have to stay that way. My name is John Sage, and thanks for watching. Hi there, it is Editing Room John once again. And as always, I would like to thank you for sticking with the video until the very end. If you did that, then yeah, thank you. It means a lot, and it helps out the channel way more than you could ever understand, honestly. And yeah, that's about it. This video was a lot of fun to work on. I got it done really quickly. This video is definitely, in my personal opinion, a sign of my improvement. I didn't really bring up my writing in this video, my own personal writing, but that's primarily because I've made a lot of progress, but nothing too remarkable. My novel, or at least the writing process for my novel, is nearing its end, so I'm at least happy about that, because it did take me a very long time to write this, like a good few months. I'm excited to release more content. I feel like I'm getting to the point where I can start doing this even more consistently than I've been doing this in the past, because I'm settling into my own style and I'm kind of getting a feel for like myself as a creator. And yeah, thank you for watching to the end. Thank you for listening to this and sitting down and sticking with me after the video, because honestly I talk about absolutely nothing in these sections. But other than that, thank you. Have a brilliant rest of your day, and yeah, peace out.